It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we've only got one movie to look at today on the 4th of July weekend of 2008, halfway through the year. And who better to open up a new movie on the Independence Day weekend than the man who starred in Independence Day and had been the king of 4th of July for several years. And here's his latest film with the help of director Peter Berg, co-written by Vince Gilligan before is around the time he made Breaking Bad. And you got Jason Bateman and Charlize Theron among the cast here as well. So let's take a look at Hancock. So that trailer does give you a good indication of the good things and not really a little bit of the bad things. There were a couple little bits of it here and there. We'll get to that in just a second. But the plot of the movie, as you can tell, Will Smith stars as an amnesiac, alcoholic, reckless superhero trying to remember his past, and he gets help from a PR person played by Jason Bateman to help improve his image. He goes to jail to get people to realize that, hey, they need him in his life. So the crime rate gets bigger in Los Angeles, and so he has to come in, and that leads to the rejuvenation of Hancock as a superhero. And that premise alone should have been enough to make this movie and enjoy a really damn good movie. And it is a good movie for about the first third, for about the first half of the film. And then the second half happens, and the film really steers way down at that point. It just goes for, this is one of those movies, like, we get one of these movies every once in a while where the first half is really good and very promising, and then for some reason, in the second half of the movie, it turns into something completely different than what the first half was promising. I think the last movie that I saw that did something like this was Man of the Year with Robin Williams. It starts off as, the trailers made it look like it was this fun comedy with Robin Williams as this Daily Show host who becomes the president of the United States. And then you don't realize that the second half of the movie, it suddenly turns into a political thriller for no reason whatsoever. Here, it does the same thing as well, because I don't want to say that this was one of those films affected by the writer's strike. I think this was filmed way before the writer's strike had happened, and we're not going to get straight to the films where the writer's strike played a huge effect on these films until we get to later in the year, because we're going to see some of those later on down the road. Although they did reshoot scenes in May of 2008, just a few months before this movie came out, so maybe that's what happened with this movie, because let me tell you something. The second half of this movie really does not feel like the first half whatsoever. The first half feels like a movie that has a lot of promise to it. Will Smith playing the superhero, and you have Jason Bateman as this public relations guy who's basically telling him to, go out and, go out, do this thing, go to prison for a little bit, let the people see that you're not there anymore, and see the crime rate go up, and Hancock needs to come back in and become the superhero. That's the fun thing about the first half of the movie. But then in the second half, just bizarre stuff happens. Like, Charlize Theron has a plot in the movie where she apparently is a superhero too, but she uses her powers for evil or something like that. Or they don't really, there's a possibility that they're related, like they could be brother and sister, or they were once a couple or something. But it's a very odd movie. It's a film where the first half was really looking strong, and then the second half, because that tonal shift comes in, and then they add in a random villain, a random redneck villain, played by Eddie Marsan, it really comes out of nowhere, and it just really is, like, the second half really does come out of nowhere, and I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know what went wrong here, but man, this film really struggles from a first half that was so promising, and then the second half just completely goes careening off the roller coaster, and then just goes off the rails. This thing just falls apart at the seams at the last moment, and it's just like, I don't know what happened. This was a project that was in development for 12 years. I think the original writer of this wrote this back in 1996, and it went through various directors. Tony Scott was once attached to direct it. Michael Mann, who's still one of the producers on it. Jonathan Mostow, Gabriella Muccioni, who directed Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness, and will later direct him in 7 Pounds at the end of the year. But, yeah, I really don't know how to feel about this movie per se, because like I said, the first half is really good. Seeing Will Smith as this drunk superhero causing more chaos than saving human lives, and then having to go through this, radical change with this PR guy, that was fun. But when it gets to the second half and has that tonal shift, it's like, it really, really ruins the ebb and flow of the movie. It really does not feel like this needed to be here. Like, that honestly could have set itself up for a sequel. You know how sequels, to superhero movies, they get darker in the second film, or most sequels in general to action movies. Like in the second film, it does go for a darker tone. I feel like you could have saved that part for another movie, but they crammed them both into one film, and because they did that, I really do think the film struggles because of that. It just isn't as fun as it could have been at the beginning of the movie, and when you get done with it, it's just like, what the hell did I just watch? I mean, I watched this again not too long ago to see if those same thoughts that I had before still kind of hold up, and yeah, they still kind of do. I feel like Charlize Theron's a great actress. I mean, she usually can never turn in a bad performance, but in here, I just really feel like her role in here really was for another movie in particular, and they just crammed it into this film. And I really don't know if what the hell happened here. I don't know if it was Vince Gilligan, because like I said, he was just starting to come into his own with Breaking Bad premiering the same year, and I don't know if he was. I don't know if he probably did this before he went on to Breaking Bad, because Breaking Bad does a pretty good job of mixing dark comedy with drama. Here, it doesn't really mesh together, especially in that second half, and the movie really just kind of falls apart at the end. And yeah, needless to say, I was very disappointed by it. And it's not a long movie either. I just realized that. Like, I thought maybe the first half of it was I thought this was the first half of a long movie, but no, it's only an hour and a half long. Like, the movie's only an hour and a half long. I have no idea what happened to this film. Like, it started off so promisingly, and then all of a sudden the second half comes in with this radical shift, and it just kind of falls apart at the seams really quickly, and it's a film I very rarely have gone back to watch, honestly. It's a film that's just like, I like it, but it's only for that first half alone. I really can't get to the second half and really enjoy what I loved about the first half with that, but I don't know. I mean, it was still a massive hit regardless. It was still one of the biggest hits of the year. It was actually the fourth highest grossing film of the year, making over $600 million worldwide. So, I mean, you put Will Smith in the superhero at the full center of this movie, it's going to be a hit, and especially with superhero movies becoming the trend. I mean, we had 6 superhero movies released in the summer of 2008 alone. We haven't even gotten through all of them yet. We still have 2 more to go in the next couple of weeks, but I don't know. This one, I think the first half really is the strongest part of it. The second half, it really falls apart, and it kind of ruins the flow of the film. This thing probably would have started off as a 5-star movie, but then that second half comes around to probably at the very most a 3-star film, just a little bit above 2.5 stars. Like, it will be a film that I liked it for the parts that I liked, but yeah, that second half really almost ruined the ebb and flow of the film, where I just could have hated it altogether. But as it is, it's passable. A mixed opinion, but leaning slightly towards a positive review. But yeah, it's definitely a very flawed film overall. They have been talking about doing a sequel for a long time, and yeah, I don't know. Like, this one, I don't think really deserves. Like, you had a chance to do a sequel with that second half storyline, and then you kind of threw it in there at the last minute. Yeah, it's kind of pointless to do it now. So that's my thoughts on Hancock. Very mixed opinion, but more positive than negative. I'll say that. And so, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And speaking of superheroes, the next week we have one of these 3 films of superhero movie, Guillermo del Toro's sequel to Hellboy. I mean, Hellboy's kind of a superhero. Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. We'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at Brendan Fraser and Josh Hutcherson in the 3D family adventure Journey to the Center of the Earth, and also Eddie Murphy starring in the comedy Meet Dave, made by the same director who made Norbit, but definitely is a lot better than Norbit. But is it enough to recommend? Not really. We'll talk about it. We'll delve more into it as we go into the show tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. So we'll take a look at those 3 films on tomorrow's show. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell. That's when you get updates on when new videos come out, and we do post new videos here every day. So with all that said, I am off. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.